Welcome to another episode of Heroic Hotline. We are extremely blessed to have Kevin O'Brien join us in the studio today. Kevin is a board member with Heroic Men, Catholic Men's Leadership Alliance. He's one of the leaders in Milwaukee that has you're in your 20th year, right? You're preparing for your
2020,
20th.
yeah, 2026 will be 20 years. Gosh, that's amazing.
That's
Yeah,
so exciting.
I can share that
And
story if you want.
all around good guy, husband, father. You got a couple athletes in the family.
Just a few. Take after the mom.
They take after the mom. Some trophies in the background. I'm not sure
Oh
what
yeah, that's
those
just yeah. You know what? I could. Maybe I should turn it this way, right? We don't need to look at that.
yeah,
Just this is my office.
celebrating accomplishments, and you and I both know that doing these men's conferences over the years that men respond to challenges.
Oh yeah.
They don't want a participation trophy, right?
No, not real
Like,
men.
yeah, if you got those for participating, they wouldn't be on your shelf, would
No,
they?
yeah. No, they would. Oh, I saw the link there. Yeah, definitely. No, that came with a lot of like kind of blood, sweat, and tear kind of commentary.
Yeah, and but they respond to those
Mhm.
challenges. They respond to go deeper, and you are one of the most successful men I know. And you talk about the tap, the importance of the tap. Uh, we're on our website. We're calling it handshake outreach. Like
Mm,
it's just
personal invitation. Yeah.
it's man, and we can all do this, right? Like you don't have to be a business tycoon or have a philosophy degree or theology degree
No.
to do this, do you?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, not only do you not have to do that, you actually are called to do that by Christ and of course His church. And I think when I step back and you look at we've been friends for a long time, being a part of Heroic Men, CMLA, being a co-founder. You see the out. You'll know them by their fruits. And when you look at why was Heroic Men formed? To help men become better men, right? And to give them resources and tools to be able to do this. And one of the things, the tap, touch a person, handshake was the comment you made, is about a personal invite. It's about that personal connection. It's about developing relationship, not only with Christ, primarily the highest good, but also with each other. And I think, it's interesting being an American and being Canadian. I don't know, like from an American perspective, there's this like, hey, we can do it on our own thing. And so there's this lack of almost inviting guys feels literally so awkward. That connection from, I'll use the word masculine intimacy, because this idea is so profound. Like it's so profound that our souls need friends. Like the connection is not only human, it's even deeper, and it can be spiritual. And St. Thomas Aquinas said this, it's a phenomenal line, and it can lead into even some of the things that we dive into deeper. He said, true friendship can only be formed by those striving to grow in virtue. And where do I find those guys? How do I find those guys? And I think one of the things that we're striving to do with Heroic Men, we have an apostolate out here called Men of Christ, which is connected, like, it's a fruit of, you have the God Squad, right? With what you're doing, is we are trying to make it even easier. So when we talk about the tap, touch a person, that personal invite, what we're talking about is literally evangelizing in the simplest form. Like we believe, but this ripple effect of goodness can take place through three simple letters: TAP, touch a person. And what we use, and you guys in Heroic Men, what we're talking about is, well, let's create an experience that allows somebody to tap an individual in the most simplest of forms, invite them into a conference. We use the conference as our evangelization annual. I mean, we do this all the time in the sense of it's micro, but macro event to go big, getting 4,000 individuals coming with their sons and create this massive tsunami of goodness, right? And how do we do that? 90% of the guys that come to our conference experience are tapped. They're tapped in. It means, hey, Sean, just want to, hey, got a group of guys coming. Hey, I'd love to have you come. We're just gonna hang out. It's gonna be a day event. It's like a little mini retreat. You bring your son. I'm gonna tell you what, I promise, you know what? I'll buy your ticket and you pay me if you like the experience. If you don't, no problem. It'll cost you nothing. Like literally just guys to have the opportunity that somebody cares enough. Because like one of the things we didn't hit on this, but we did a study on the crisis of manhood, which if you're involved in men's apostolate work or men's ministry to men, one of the things that men are suffering. The increase in deaths by despair, I think in the last 10 years have increased like 45, 50%. 75% of all deaths or suicides are by men. And so men are struggling. They're isolated. Satan knows if I put them in their little, isolation in their man cave all by themselves, I can get them. Right? And if I get the man, strike the shepherd, scatter the sheep, if I can get to the father, I can get to the family. And what we're
Yep.
trying to do is, because we in America have not been trained well on how to evangelize, our approach is keep it very simple. Do the personal invite. What do I personally invite them? We use the annual conference as an experience to do that because it's very profound. It's like you're walking into a stadium type of thing. And then beyond that, and we can talk more about it, we want to send them back into parish-based men's groups. Why the parish? Because that's where your local family is. And
Yep.
Christ is there so that relationship can happen.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we've been trying to do up here as well. And I remember our 20th conference. Steve Wood was up, uh, and one of the young guys and I had breakfast after, and he started a book club for the younger guys, the young dads, right?
Oh,
Because it
yeah.
it was, and it's continues to this day. Like broken off into other groups so that because it's continued to grow, and as guys go across the city, it's so important to do that plug in, like you say, or that tap where we're we've been working with a marketing firm, and they're younger dads, and they're excited learning about heroic men and what this is. And one of the things that they're I'm hoping to get the stuff back this week is let's take it offline, because so many of the young men live in
Oh,
this virtual world. Let's meet in real person. Like, they want to create that personal relationship by taking it offline. Let's take this offline, meet, have a coffee, a beer, and we want to encourage that, to build that authentic friendship. Is what, like, you and I could come down there, and
oh
I
yeah.
know you'd take care of me. Uh, if I called up Kevin, he'd meet me and fall for the priest joke every time at the hotels.
Yeah,
Father
yeah,
Mary's
that's a
head,
good.
you're pretty good
Well,
there.
yeah. Well, Sean, what you're saying is, I think, first of all, there's a need for that. There's a hunger. The data shows that, meaning guys suffering. But, one of the things that we talk about is form battle buddies. So, like, when you have these friendships with guys that are striving to be great, not that they are, but they're striving to grow in virtue, that true friendship can now be formed. Proverbs talks about this, right? Sharp people sharpen each other like iron sharpens iron, and you become like the people you hang out with. And I think a lot of guys,
Yep.
they don't know where to find good guys. And it's in our, like, once you've been, we have been given, when much has been given, much is expected. When more has been given, Christ expects more. We, Sean, you and I, guys involved in heroic men, have been given more. What we want to do is we should be going out and sharing this truth. I just gave a talk. We did. We have called the Junior Hilltoppers. It's an eighth grade football team, and we do virtue talks now. So, like, before practice, we'll have a virtue, and this week's virtue talk is love for God. And one of the things I shared with the boys is I lost my faith because I didn't understand what we believed or why we believed what we believed. No one had the courage, and my parents just didn't know. So I had good parents, but they just said, "Oh, I send you off," and I figured you're being taught. I wasn't. And so what happened to me is I drifted. And I think there's so many men that have drifted. And it's our job to go out into that deep and bring them home, because once you enter into the Catholic Church, the faith that we have, it's so rich, it's so deep, it's so friggin' awesome that when I kind of came back, I'm like, why didn't the heck didn't anybody tell me this? And when you understand it and you study it, depending on where you want to go, it's there's so much for so many, and it's so beautiful. And it's like you almost have this urgency. One of the things that we say at work here, we like when you get done with the talk, or you're out at a conference. We hope you have shaky leg, meaning that you're so inspired that you want to, like, I'm ready to go, coach. Like, put me in. And
Yeah.
that's what we're striving to do with Heroic Men, is to literally bring that energy, that inspiration, and also to know there's comfort that there are tons of guys that think like you think.
Yeah, you're not alone, and
You're not
that's one
alone.
of the things that peer support, like what you're going through, is a normal thing, because we all think, well, no, nobody else has this problem, but and quite often when we in these small men's groups where men start opening up, they realize that men are struggling the same way they are. They have the same struggles
Yeah.
or burdens
Mm,
or
that's right.
uh my teenage daughter knows everything and I'm an idiot. Well, yeah, that happened to me too, like but then
Yeah.
they still love their dads and come back and realize maybe dad wasn't as dumb as I thought he was when I was 15 or 16, right? So uh there's hope, man.
Well,
and
and I
and
think, to your point, you just said that's a key word, right? So when you look at the struggle guys go through, hope, right? What is a weapon of Satan? Despair.
yeah,
So you're like, and by the way, since you're in your silo, you don't have other experience. When you start to realize what you're entered into, that others have entered into, like, oh my gosh, to your point, there brings comfort. Like, oh my, okay. And they've gone through it and they've given me great advice. I'm going to apply that advice and see how that works. I think that's such a huge thing. Our men's group was this morning, and we talked about the 5 levels of self mastery. And one of those things was mindset, right? That's what I hear you talking about. Others that are not surrounded by a great group of people. And you go as your thoughts go, right? So what are you doing? What are you consuming? This is one of the reasons Heroic Men is so important. What are you consuming on a regular basis? We have 6,000 thoughts. Most of those are negative. So how do I get around guys that help me, right? That help me grow. Corrupt company corrupts good habits. Show me your friends. I show you your future. How do I get that to be immersed in this lake of goodness that helps me get through some of the valleys that come in life? And one of the things, Sean, I've learned is, Christ talks about embracing your daily crosses. To me, what I've learned is look at that suffering, look at that sacrifice, and don't run away from it, run towards it. Because in that suffering, in that sacrifice is your strength. And by you going through that, it's great too to have brothers with you, mentors with you. It allows you to grow in your own strength. Like, you become more self confident. It's an interesting, I don't know if you knew this, but the Navy SEALs found that the main reason guys don't ring the bell, meaning that they ring it to leave, is because of the guy next to him. And that's one of the reasons, when you look at the power of Heroic Men and what we're striving to do here, it's so vital to create these communities where guys can come together and really grow in their faith.
I just want to touch on something because when you talked about friends and how they reflect you, so working with youth at risk as a police officer,
Oh, yeah.
we did this high fidelity wraparound intervention is what I was trained in, and you ask the young person, what's your hopes, dreams, goals, aspirations, and we all have them, right? And then okay, pick a team that's going to help you reach those goals and those dreams and those aspirations. And quite often it causes them to reflect on the friends that they're hanging out with,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
those friends aren't going to help them reach those goals and those aspirations. And men, yeah, if that's where sometimes it's a two-edged sword walking with men that are, we're all broken, but
Mm.
yeah, you know your friends when the hard times come, because that's, you'll see who's still sticking around to help you through your hard times. So it's important that you do surround yourself with good holy men.
Yeah, just kind of leaning into what you just said. There's also another quote that I thought was good. You are the sum of the five people you hang out with. I don't know if you ever heard that. I thought that
Oh,
was so good, and that just it highlights that what you're saying, right? The important. Now we've got different levels, and it was Father Burke Masters gave a great talk at one of our conferences, and he called it the five levels of manhood. And the first level was boyhood. The second level was adolescence. The only thing different between boyhood and adolescence was age. They're both selfish. To get to the third level, which is manhood, you had to become selfless, this idea of laying my life down for others, right? And internally, when you do that, when you lay that life down and where you put your time, you put your life, when you put your time into things that are good, that help others, it is amazing how you change internally. Fourth level was mentorship. So now we're talking about how do we outreach and we bring others around with us. So it's not just, hey, I'm focused on my development. Sometimes you just, hey, listen, that's all I can handle right now. But then once you get it, now you got to give it and go out. And then the fifth level is patriarch, which encompasses, that third and fourth level. But this idea is I'm willing to sacrifice now for things that may come in or that will come in the future. I may not even see the fruit of my effort, but I'm willing to lay it down. That fifth level to me is something that's very inspiring and it motivates me because when you enter into this experience, I think the other thing we should hit on is when you talk about the tap, you talk about how hard it's uncomfortable. Like literally, you are it. You're going to feel like, oh my gosh, you start sweating. I don't like rejection. So when you understand that, you're like, okay, I forewarned, foreprepared. Now I know that I'm going to do this because I'm willing to sacrifice that uncomfortable. I'm going to offer up, beautiful saying in the Catholic Church, I'm going to offer it up. I'm going to offer up that sacrifice, that uncomfortableness for him and for others. So everything we're doing can always point us towards our ultimate good, which is heaven. That's where our ultimate mission is.
and that's where we're in the midst of developing, that I hope I can get off the ground here in Canada and hopefully right across the Heroic Men board, is this idea for Giving Tuesdays. Came, it's an
Oh
American
yeah,
thing after your
yeah, yeah.
Thanksgiving. We just had our Thanksgiving,
Yes,
and
that's right. Yeah,
uh,
Monday.
yeah, and lots to be thankful for, but just challenging men to pray. What brother do you want me to take for a coffee or a beer or a meal, a lunch? Take that man out just to let him know that you see him, you're there, and then that amount for that coffee, make a monthly donation to Heroic Men Canada or US to have these resources available, so that that widow's mite that we talked about at our board meetings, where getting more men involved in this mission. And and then I was talking to one of my board members. He was saying, yeah, and every time that comes out on my, it's a reminder that I should pray for this guy or reach out to this guy. So it's a dual uh challenge, just getting more men to do that tap, that handshake outreach, whatever you want to call it, to actually physically meet offline with a man in a coffee shop, in a pub, in a restaurant, and make that connection. So
I think what I would say to that, Sean, too, there are levels, right? There would be different levels of guys, right? The first
yeah,
thing is when we talk, bringing it all the way back to the tap, is sometimes, guys, as they grow, they can take on more. But even the idea of just inviting, we used the word, talked about conference, but even inviting a guy, a neighbor, a friend, to a brother, just coworker, to a men's group, or to, I like the bigger event, and then that kind of brings them in. So depending on where
yeah,
the guys are, and then as you grow, to your point, you are now showing you care. That's the other thing, is this idea of caring for others. You talked about the idea of just saying, hey, listen, texting a guy, like, here's a practical thing. I always like, give me something simple that I could take away from this talk. Well, personal invite. How about this? Just start texting your guys, hey, listen, your buddies, I'm just praying for you today. I hope you have a great day. That's it. That,
yep.
like in your mind, like for you, that's no big deal. By the way, the person that gets that and the Holy Spirit working through you, that could change a life. That individual could be suffering. He's like, wow, I got somebody, back to your point, that cares for me. And I think these little things we don't think about, and it takes these conversations for us to dialogue. You say, wow, that's a great idea. And say, like, somebody on the call that's listening right now, maybe they're struggling with a lot of, like, negative thoughts. One of the greatest ways to counter this, and it actually is backed up by science, is gratitude. Literally, like, it'll change your brain chemistry. So the way you think, by being grateful for where you are and what you have, specifically grateful to God. So going back to this idea of what's one practical thing. Well, so this idea of, okay, I'm trying to build up my confidence, my conviction to tap somebody. I'm not there yet. I feel really that I've got my own stuff, and you're kind of, now the negative vibes start coming. You're full of anxiety. Here's the thing to know: fear and love cannot live in the heart at the same time. Anxiety and gratitude cannot live in the heart at the same time. So here's, again, going back to this practical idea: wake up every morning just thanking God, being grateful for what you have, and then go to bed that way. Just bookending your day that way, I think, could have a tremendous way to start the process of thinking correctly and understanding and seeing through a new lens.
Thank you for that. That's awesome. Just because it's not hard, it's just something that to do, right? An easy dip your toe in the water to see that it's okay. And I do that text thing too, where I was in Poland just recently, and you take a picture of a beautiful altar or something,
Oh
and you
yeah, yeah, yeah.
send it to a brother and
Oh
say,
yeah.
I'm praying for you. And they really truly appreciate that text. And
Ron,
it
let's not only, let's be even more practical as we're just dialoguing. That's a great, because you just said something that triggered it. How about, like, again, you have faith, so you're at adoration, even in your hometown. You take a picture of Christ in the monstrance, and one of the things I've been doing is texting each of my kids. Hey Shane, just praying for you today. Hey Jaden, like, guys, you want to build relationship with your own children. Like, holy cow! Hey, I love you. I'm fasting for you today. Individual text to your kids, letting them know that. Or, hey, your brother, hey, you know what? I'm fasting for you today. Who does that? Like, you think, like, that is such a practical thing that's relatively simple to do, that will have a massive ripple effect of goodness that flows through your network of people. I just think that's so important.
wow. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. I'll have to get these thumbs working with 8 kids and 17 grandkids.
Oh yeah, there, perfect. I mean, you're like, literally, hey, you're Friday morning, you're fasting on Friday, like, hey, I'm just starting to text it off. And you can rotate it, right? So it's
Yeah.
not every week, but it's like,
Yep.
wow.
Yep. That is such a powerful opportunity for men to engage their loved ones. Like, just
Mm.
start there. Like, if you cannot text your wife and kids to tell them that you love them and are praying for them, brother, you need to call us, because you need
Yeah, connect quickly. Oh,
Yeah.
and by the way, here's a great story. This is a great story. I don't know if we're running out of time, but I think it's so important. It's another little nugget that I received. It was a gift. It really was a gift. This was 2018, our conference experience. We had Doug Barry in,
Yep.
and Doug shared with us. He had a priest. So it kind of ties into what you're saying. He had a priest ask him. He said, "Listen, are you blessing your wife and your children?" And Doug's like, "No, Doug's a big guy. You know him. He's strong. He lifts." And
Yeah.
he goes, "Wait, what?" He goes, "Yeah, are you blessing, taking holy water and blessing your wife and children?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Well, that's something I recommend you doing. You go home and do that." So he walks in. It's a little late. The wife's already in bed. And to your point about being afraid, he's so nervous. This is his wife. He is outside the door, and the wife's laying down. He throws the holy water from the door. It lands on her head. She kind of like wakes up, like, what? What's going on? He bolts. He takes off, right? And then the next day, he wakes up in the morning, and the wife says to him, she's like, gosh, I had the weirdest dream last night. I felt like I was in like a rainstorm. It was raining on me. And then he's like, oh, all right, honey, here's the thing. I was wanted to bless you. I was so uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do. And I tried to do that. And here's what she said. She's like, you know what, Doug, I just want you to know how grateful I am, because I know that you not only do you try to protect us physically, but you're trying to protect us spiritually. And I'm grateful for that. There's not a guy or a child that would not appreciate this. So another practical thing, we talked about texting, and you want to elevate that up. And I have done this and have done it since, is just say a prayer. Sometimes we run out of holy water, but say a prayer on your kids. To this day, I have who my sons, two of them have played college football, um, come to me. My daughters come to me. So 25, 23, 21, in 19, right? All of them, really, all of them still do this. They come, Dad, will you bless me? That personal connection, because I overcame the uncomfortableness of blessing, right? We just don't know that. You're uncomfortable until you get the reps in, and then you build comfort with it because you've exercised that muscle. I thought that was just a great point that
Yeah.
you had brought
We
up.
up here we have St. Joseph's holy oil from St. Joseph's
Yeah.
Oratory, and yeah, the kids they used to come to me to bless their boo boos and stuff like that. And yeah, it's such a powerful thing. And Doug Barry, we had him up here in 2014, and there was a young man that had left minor seminary and for some reason ended up at our conference and felt the call back to the priesthood, and now he's this dynamic young priest here in Calgary that's gonna change the world. He's a keynote speaker at the Rise Up event
Wow.
in Montreal this January or December. So yeah, it's exciting to watch this unfold when we take these challenges and try to answer God. Kevin, thank you for the work you do. I wish we were a little closer because I would like to go out for a coffee and a beer with you.
Oh yeah.
And
Ditto.
and so you got to come north to Canada, and
We have, business wise, if I can get up there, I'm coming. I'm
that's
going to
good.
come and hang
That's
out.
good.
That's
Uh,
beautiful country.
and just keep up the great work. Let's continue to move shoulder to shoulder to move
Mm.
ministry to men forward in all our capacities. And I think, well, I know God's working because I'm seeing it. I was just before this, I had a meeting with a couple men from Montreal planning a men's conference there in the spring. So it's
Wonderful.
really exciting to just watch what God's doing. And if you're in the Milwaukee area, when's your conference?
March
March.
14th. Yeah. Welcome
Well,
everybody.
how come you
Yeah.
keep picking the same dates we do? So
Are you on the 14th too?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
we'll
great. That's a hot item. I mean, March is such a good thing.
well, yeah.
One of the Oh, go
We've
ahead.
always tried to be close to the feast of Saint Joseph. So I'm ours is going to be the 14th, and then I'm going to be in Montreal the following weekend for theirs, speaking there. So maybe we should get you up there speaking one of these days.
Hey, listen, I'd love to do it if I could provide some inspiration and hope. I would definitely take that challenge on.
All right. And
All
if
right,
you
brother.
like, reach out to Heroic Hotline at heroicmen.org. Give us topics that you'd like to see us discuss, any suggestion for great guests, but it's hard to top Kevin O'Brien out of Milwaukee. So thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Sean. God bless.